step by step, looking after the liver, looking after the kidneys, looking after the digestive system. Um, the biggest mistake we can make is that we're a victim of what is happening to me. When you look at honey on the shelf, you need to make sure that it is real, raw, authentic honey. So the first thing you need to look at consistency. The other part that you can look at is does the honey crystallize? Other aspect that they like to do is they like to overheat honey. You can melt cacao and make a cacao drink. In that, it's kind of like a coffee replacement. So you get that hot chocolate but really thick consistency. It's high in minerals. It's got magnesium, iron, it's got calcium. To look after the liver is actually very easy because it's a point of lifeline in your body. Um,
Greetings, seekers of ancient wisdom. We're back again talking to Yaku from Plant of the Gods. So, Yaku, welcome, and how are you doing today?
how's it, Deepak? Doing very well, my man.
Yaku, we're so glad that we could get you on the show. I know you've been so busy this year, and it's really testament that people are slowly waking up to the products that you provide, right? I mean, you're providing a range natural herbs, natural plants, and remedies that people can get without a prescription to help them back to balance, right? I mean, it's really taken you many years, but I think now you're seeing people are actually a bit more interested and curious about the products that you have than they were maybe a year or even 2 years ago.
Absolutely, Deepak. It is about creating the awareness that is out there. Not the awareness of plants to gods per se, but that health and wellness is available all around us, even in your garden, even when you walk out of your front door, you can actually get herbs, medicine, real medicine, plant food right outside of your door constantly, and it's always available. Now it's just people want to have the proof first and the experience of it, and then they'll start looking outside of themselves. Okay, where can I get this without going to the pharmacy, without going and paying um, hundreds of rands to just get the right nutrition for myself? And that's kind of the focus here, to lure you in with good supplementation, quality product, but actually slowly planting a seed to tell you and to help you notice that it's around you everywhere. It is always available, and it just takes your awareness to notice that wow, man, it's right outside of your door.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've slowly realized as well over the last few years is it really is right in nature. Everything is actually there for you. All the answers that your body needs, all the nutrients and minerals and I don't know, antioxidants and all these molecules that your body needs is actually right there in nature. It's just really knowing which ones work for your body depending on what you need. So today we really wanted to talk about four main products that you have on Plant of the Gods. Because actually, Plant of the Gods, when I went to your website, there's a whole range of products. I mean, it's very impressive. But the four main ones I wanted to start with are actually the ones which I think are quite common. And one is honey, second is cacao, third is liver support products, and then the fourth one is the kidney support products, because liver and kidney are two very, very important systems in the body. So I wanted to ask you, Yaku, because honey, let's start on honey, right? There is so much honey on the markets, right? There's the fake honey, which apparently, I mean, is like been 90% of the honey market for a long time. The syrup, sugar-rated syrup that's has been sold to people as honey. Then there's like so much in the organic range, irradiated, non-irradiated, organic, all this stuff. Like, I think people are so confused about honey. So, yeah, what's your take?
Deepak, honey is very close to my heart. That's actually been the first change that I did in my life was changing from artificial sugar over to honey. And I think the awareness needs to come to price first. People mistake well-priced honey with real, real nature, with real food resource. And just because it's cheaper doesn't mean or just because it's more available as well, doesn't mean it's the real thing. So it's easier to buy the cheap honey that says 100% real honey, which through actually FDA approved substances, you just need, or let's say um, the standards of um, food and resources, they say it needs to be 70% of the real product. It needs to be 70% of the natural resource, at least. And then you can say 100%. Then you can say raw as well. Then, so you can actually mix anything inside of the honey. And most of the time, people mix syrups. So the syrups has a much more broken down crystal base, so it makes it much more watery, and it's a lot cheaper. So when you look at honey on the shelf, you need to make sure that it is real, raw, authentic honey. And these days, as you say, it's difficult to find good honey. But there's a few tests you can do as well. There's a lot you can look at to ensure that it is proper honey. Um, and then I can take us through one or two things that you can look at when buying honey. So the first thing you need to look at consistency. If it's watery, so when you turn the jug around or the glass bottle around and it just drops onto the other side, there's no bubble moving up and down inside. It's most likely mixed with syrups. And they like to use especially rice syrup, which it's very cheap to import from China. Now, the other part that you can look at is does the honey crystallize? So crystallized honey is pure, clean, organic honey. Um, when it crystallizes, it's an indication that it still has the whole crystal compound in the honey. So it's not diluted or overheated. Other aspect that they like to do is they like to overheat honey. When honey gets overheated more than 37 degrees, it becomes a sugar, and it actually becomes a lot more. Um, it creates a lot more volume because you break down a lot more crystals. But then you lose all the minerals, all the enzymes, and prebiotics inside of the honey. Then it becomes just a pure sugar. So, and from our honey, we actually have a supplier from Ventus Door that has over 4,000 hives, and they actually focus on how does the honey get extracted by preserving bees, following a process, and not overheating the honey more than 37 degrees. And it's by just spinning the honey without any heat um, that then you keep all the organisms inside the honey.
Yeah, sure. That is so fascinating. And Yaku, I was thinking, like, this world is so weird. Like, anything that is good, like the corporate machine sort of jumps on it, and they commercialize it. Like honey, for example, right? Honey originally was just harvested from the hive, and you'd get raw honey, and everything was great. But now they started seeing, like, okay, we can make money out of this, or we can trick and manipulate people. So they pervert the whole honey thing. Right now, there's the fake honey. Now, even in the organic honey industry, so to say, there is, like you say, they can mix in rice syrup or mix in other stuff, and they only need to get 70% to get approved. Like, it's so tricky, right? Because it's so difficult to know what is actually real, and education is so time consuming. It's a bit overwhelming. People get confused by these big terms and big research documents or research papers, and this thing says one thing, another says something else. I mean, how would you say people can educate themselves to become more conscious when they're making purchases, just in general? Because honey is one aspect that you're talking about. And you mentioned your supplier being very meticulous about the whole process, right? From how they look after the bees, what the bees are harvesting, what pollen and flowers they're getting, how the bees are looked after and treated, and even the honey once it's taken from the hive, how that's kept before it's given to the public. There's so many things, right? There's so many steps and so many processes. Me as a person wants honey, I just go to the shop and I look at the package and it says organic, and it says I don't know, it says non-irradiated or something, and then that's it. Like, how am I going to know better? Now I have to go and research and like go onto the internet and do a whole 1 hour thesis before I go buy some honey.
Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, Deepak, there's actually a few ways. First off, connecting to community. So in our community, we have authentic people who loves following um, the right processes and who also went into the background, did their research. They actually visited the sites. They harvested honey themselves. They understand the process, and they also understand quality. Why? Because they provide that quality to themselves. So I will not give myself any short-term gratification honey. I will not give myself diluted, non-authentic, real honey. I just won't. I'll skip it completely if it's offered. So now, if that is how I operate, and I actually started something which now online and actually in the community provide a real honey source, now it is available, and everybody around in the community knows, okay, cool, that is provided from Plants for the Gods, and I know I can trust that because I've also connected with Jaco and the people at Plants for the Gods, and know that they will constantly make sure that it is quality and that it's taken care of. Why? Because they live the example. They actually live the way of health and wealth. So now the other way is, technically, if you go into a spa, into a Pick and Pay, or any retailer that is right around the corner, it's mass production, and it is by our own gratification, short-term gratification, to just step out of my door, walk into a place, and buy it quickly. So it's very difficult to provide to, let's say, at this stage, you're looking at about at least 400 Pick and Pays, and um, that excludes all the checkers, spas, macros, um, to provide all of those stores with real honey. Um, I honestly can't see how that is, um, how anybody is capable to do that. So that's why you've got so many products and so many resources in store. If you pick up that bottle in Pick and Pay, and you have to get honey there right now, first off, just read the label. The label tells you everything. They have to state where the honey is from. So it will say originated from China um, Uruguay, it can be New Zealand, it can be any of these places. And as soon as it's not local, it's irradiated. So if it's irradiated, everything in there is dead. So then it is purely sugar. Um, so now that's the first signal. Don't buy that. Um, First off, look at where does what's the address where it's resonated from, and we all of our South Africans also love to say on our labels, proudly South African and locally resourced. That means it's non-irradiated. That's the first step, and that's a good start. First, supporting your local farmer and your local producer, and then you can take it from there by confirming on the label how raw is it. Do they notice or do they state that the cool, non-irradiated, nothing added, pure honey, raw? Then you can start trusting the product. But still, your test is not over. You can also test by seeing how diluted it is, if there was any starches add, or if it was overheated. You can even at home put a little bit honey on a teaspoon, throw water, running water on the teaspoon, and you will see it. The honey will either dilute and just run over, or it will form a flat surface and start crystallizing as you throw honey over, and it will start creating little patterns. Then you also can feel safe and know, okay, cool, that is good honey. So there's a few tests you can do, but it takes our responsibility. And in the beginning, it was nice to be asleep, walk around with my eyes closed, and just get everything easily from the shelves until we started opening our eyes and realized, oh, I need to take responsibility for what I put in my mouth. I even need to take responsibility with what I buy off the shelf, and I can't just trust anything and everything because now it changed. It is now used for mass production, used for um, making whoever is supplying hundreds of stores and creating low output, low quality for a high value to make lots of money. And we can't support that anymore. It's also not sustainable because our bodies can't sustain um, those toxins. It can't sustain taking in unhealthy um, product. Even our fruits and vegetables are being treated. So it's our responsibility to start washing our fruits and our vegetables for now until we can either support a local farmer that we know does not work with GMOs, that does not work with pesticides. Um, so it's step by step we take the responsibility of waking up and noticing what I put in my body and what I put in my kitchen.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that into the whole answer, right? About being aware of quality of the product. It's not just about the product, it's about the quality of the product, what's gone into the actual product, what preservatives. Because I think maybe 100 years ago, bread compared to the bread that you get today from the supermarket is not the same thing. Yes, they might be both called bread, but 100 years ago, when our grandparents were making bread, they just used water, they used some flour that they probably harvested from their own garden or backyard. They used yeast and salt, and that was the only ingredients that they used to make the bread. If you get a bread from the yeah. And if you get bread from the supermarket today, I understand that they have those four original ingredients, but they have like another 20 other chemicals, preservatives, emulsifiers, all these other things in there, mixed in there. So the bread that you're eating today is not the same bread that our bodies were consuming decades, generations in the past, right?
Absolutely. And Deepak, it changed with mass production because now instead of making a bread in, uh, let's start with this. Instead of building on my yeast for and keeping it alive for the last, let's say, 2, 3 months, which builds data. That yeast also grows with our information, with our microbes that our body needs. And it learns and it changes constantly. But now, today, you get yeast on the shelf, and you can quick, and it's pretty much dead from the start. Um, and I can quickly use the yeast to make a bread in 2, 3 hours. But now I need to make how many breads? Two, 300 loaf of breads in 2, 3 hours, so that I can supply all the stores. So now I need to add so much chemicals to fasten the process. And it's not real anymore, because it feels to me there's no life in it. Where our ancestors, our um, my parents' grandfather and grandmother, um, they actually worked constantly every day molding that yeast, making the bread, investing their emotional state, their love, their potential, their hands into that bread. And you can, when you eat that loaf of bread coming out of the cast iron stove, yo man, it is, you melt, and you also feel satisfied. It's not like you constantly want to go back there. You constantly need that sugar or that carbohydrates, because you need that energy. Now you eat one loaf of bread that they make, and you feel nourished. But with what you get now in the stores, there's no life in it. And if we can return to that every day by making our own bread, experiencing being involved with what we put in our system, wow, it's a different world. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, and I think that's where the honey comes in, because I think every single product in the supermarket has been tainted. We can even talk about the vegetables that are full of pesticides and herbicides and artificial fertilizer. All the products that come in a package generally have been contaminated in some way. Our bread, our cereals, our maize, even our meats, right? So if you go into the meat sector, they're pumped full of hormones. What are the animals being fed? How are they treated? um, and I'm realizing that the physical body is really only one layer of our being. Human being is not just the physical body, it's the physical body, mental body, emotional body, etheric body, auric body, and there's layers and layers and layers upon which this human being is actually built. But we only see what happens in the physical, like, oh no, my stomach has got issues, or I've got this pain here, or my heart is not beating right. But it's really manifesting what's happening on the other layers, is what I feel. The choices that we make about what foods we eat, about what we put into our bodies, about what thoughts we think about, what emotions are we holding on to. They're all holistically, and this is where holistic wellness really comes in, they're all holistically affecting our experience. And yeah, people need to start waking up to that, right? I mean, start taking responsibility for what you put into your being on all different layers. And quality of food is an easy one, I think, for me. It's like the easiest win, actually. Just get better quality food. It's not just about eating more vegetables or eating honey instead of sugar, or um, I don't know, like maybe eating less red meat. These are the sort of fads that are going out there, but you need to actually go a layer deeper and think energetically. What is the energy of this food? What is the the vibration, the frequency of it? And that really comes down to how wholesome is this, and how close to nature is it? How much of the original natural imprint and energy does this food have? Because at the moment, the stores have completely manipulated and confused us into reading labels and packaging and pricing and brands and um, yeah, they've hoodwinked us and really taken us away from the simplicity of what life on planet should really be, right? We should just be eating wholesome foods, natural foods, high vibration foods, and enjoying being on the planet instead of
And it's actually everywhere available. It I have noticed how it has been made this challenge to find good food, um, to find trustworthy, good, authentic supplementation. But even when we started Plants of the Gods, we already knew it is available in many areas. You just have to start deciding. You have to choose because uh, energy flows where attention goes. And if you start focusing your attention, you said it earlier, our thoughts, where we base our mental activity at. If it's in the sympathetic nervous system, where it's constantly fight or flight, which releases a lot of cortisol, adrenaline, and my energy starts rising the whole time, and I need to sustain my body by its constant high vibe, which is just based off of cortisol and adrenaline, which becomes a little bit of an addiction. It's my own inner drugs. I can so easily get addicted to these cortisol and adrenaline spikes. And it's all based off of stress, anxiety, doubt. Um, and if we remove ourselves from the worry and just observe what we want for ourselves and stay there and know it is my divine right and it is all already mine. I just need to change my belief system that uh, I I'm already worthy to receive clean food, to have all the opportunities to look after my body, to break any autoimmune disease, to break any bacterial infection, any virus infection. That it is all based off of my thinking, and I can free myself from that. And the first step, like you said, it's looking after the vessel, and step by step, looking after the liver, looking after the kidneys, looking after the digestive system. Um, the biggest mistake we can make is that we're a victim of what is happening to me, where um, the victim is a pure belief system. And if we shift that belief system to taking responsibility, um, then everything will shift in your life. So yeah, man, all of this stuff is available, especially good food, healthy, nourishing fruits and vegetables, even organic meat, free range, venison. It's all over available. I just need to return to taking responsibility for how I make my food. Uh, I think there's balance in everything, and too much of anything is also uh, poison. So, if even though let's say fruits are really good for you, but it's also high in sugar. If you just live off of fruits, which is a diet, which is a way, um, you can still flush yourself with too much sugar every day, and that can also create an insulin response. Now, balance. You don't have to fill up your plate with 70% meat 3 times a day and 30% carbs. Change it up a bit. Every 2 3 days, have a plate with some meat in and some carbs in. And then the other 3 days or other 2 days, you focus on a little bit more vegetables, a little bit more raw index. Um, just to shift the body into different ways of digesting its proteins and its prebiotics, just so that it gets a little bit something else, a little bit more alkalinity instead of constant acidity. Because an acidic body is high inflammation, and you're going to constantly struggle with pains and issues. The body is going to reflect it on the skin. It's going to reflect it in your joints, in your muscle recovery. It's going to reflect it in your way of thinking, and in your mood. If you have a high inflammatory body, your hormones won't secrete correctly because your liver is under pressure. So it plays a big role to just take a moment and look at what you put into your body.
Yeah, and exactly. People can do this. And you said like it's readily available, which I think is true. Once I started taking this journey and learning what are high quality foods, what are nutrient rich foods that my body actually needs, and I found that I'm actually spending less money now, less money on the snacks and the junk and the other rubbish, that you get from the supermarket. Um, bread, probably spend more money on bread because I'm buying better sourdough bread, for example, um, better quality eggs, better quality meat when I do buy meat for my family. And even with that, I'm spending less money on groceries, but I'm just shopping wisely and getting really high quality vegetables and fruits and other products. And I think it's really possible. And I feel this whole mindset that being healthy is expensive, right? I mean, people tell me that, like, oh man, I can't afford to be healthy. I can't afford to buy the healthy version because it's like double the price. I can't afford to get the gluten-free bread because it's 50 rand a loaf when it's 20 rand for the for the normal store bread. So there's this mindset that people think that healthy is not affordable, it's too expensive, it's not practical. I think it is possible. It's just really about how you shop and what you buy, and really looking at your budget, your grocery and snack and junk food budget. Put that all together and see how much money you spend. And if you can start shifting that to high quality, nutrient dense foods, I'm telling you, you're probably going to save money. I saw it in my own life. As soon as I cut out all the junk, you have a lot more money to to buy the other stuff, so you can buy the higher quality foods.
Absolutely. And if we start with returning to honey, where honey can reduce your cortisol spiking levels. Honey can lower your glycemic impact on your liver. Honey is great on an enzyme builder and prebiotic builder for the gut biome, and it is full of minerals, and it's actually one of the best support structures that you can add to your coffee, to your tea, to your desserts, to your food, um, and actually get the nutrition in that you need on a daily basis. You can even take honey before you go to sleep. It will help support your liver glycogen storage. So then, while you take honey just before you go to sleep, it will overnight reduce your cortisol levels, and it is a great blood sugar um, balancer. So the support is there, and don't even let me start with cacao. What you can create for your body in health and nutrition wise manner with cacao.
Yeah, yeah. I actually want to go into cacao, so it's a good transition into that plant medicine because this is actually sort of bordering now into plant medicine, but can also be just used as a social refreshing drink. It can be like a coffee substitute in a way, right? But if you take large quantities of it, it can also be ceremonial um, plant medicine type of type of thing that you take. So yeah, let's go into cacao. what is this amazing plant? It's become a bit of a trend at the moment. People are doing cacao ceremonies. Now you can buy cacao at the discem. Um, yeah, maybe educate us a bit.
Okay, so when we look at cacao, you get the cocoa that we are all used to, that we've been baking with. That is the extraction process, which also makes it a bit more alkaline and also remove the fats out of the cacao. If we look at, we normally call it ceremonial grade cacao. That means the cacao was harvested and they then just melted the cacao into blocks or into discs, but nothing was removed. It still has all the fatty compounds inside, and it's very much more like a buttery content, but it's the raw fruit. The cacao bean is a fruit, and when you take the raw fruit and you melt it, it's where you get the classic chocolate that everybody calls chocolate these days in the stores. But it's not chocolate at all. Chocolate is just the symbol we use to identify that it's something sweet. And now, if you look at the chocolate in the stores, there's so much stabilizers, sugars, syrups, emulsifiers, everything added to that to make it stable. Where cacao, if you leave a little block and let it get a little bit hot, it starts melting. It becomes oily and fatty immediately in the package or in the plate, whichever you have it. And then you know it is still it's the raw thing. You're going to struggle to get that in the stock and in the shops because you can't maintain consistency. So you can now take the cacao either as a supplement, which on a daily basis you can melt cacao and make a cacao drink with your plant-based milk or with normal milk, however you like it, and you can add a teaspoon of honey. So in that, it's kind of like a coffee replacement. So you get that hot chocolate but really thick consistency, um, but it has all the nutrition actually you need. It's high in minerals. It's got magnesium, iron, it's got calcium. So it already runs over 300 bioactive compounds inside of cacao. So drinking that cup also helps you to refrain from getting that caffeine spike. So cacao has a form of caffeine, but there's a compound in cacao called theobromine, and that helps to dilute that spike. That there's actually sustained energy, sustained nutrition through your day when you drink the cacao, and you don't get that drop because cacao is also cardiovascular support. Also gives us cardiovascular support. It helps to increase oxygen delivery into your body, and that helps also not to have that caffeine spike. So when we look at the ceremonial grade, you tend to not add anything. You just in cacao in itself is really bitter. When you melt it and you support it into a cup for anyone who wants to drink it, and if you drink lots of it, it actually gives you a heart opening experience because one, it, um, it actually has flavonols inside, which is it improves your nitric oxide signaling. That helps to enhance circulation to the brain and to the heart. So you're actually getting much more oxygen. That helps you to open your heart space. It helps to interact with your dopamine and endorphin pathways, and that is a compound called phenolphthaleamine. And that compound actually interacts with your dopamine and endorphin pathways, which is also supports your well-being and emotional state, opening your arteries, opening your heart, opening nutrition to your brain, and help you to feel lighter. So yeah, it can be used as a ceremonial process as well. If you want to sit by yourself or in a group, take organic raw cacao and go into a self-aware journey where I normally say it's best to do a journey like that, closed eyes, and also to add some instruments, harmonics, sound. Our bodies and our minds and our hearts connect with sound. It is the reason why nature is so active. And when we are constantly trapped in our house and never go out, we kind of feel depressed. We kind of start feeling low energy and we have this doubt, there's this lack of purpose, and we feel disconnected. But if we don't have the information of why, we can get trapped that we are becoming depressed. And depressed means, uh, to me, it's the body looking for change. And change, when you remove yourself out of your environment and you go into nature, you start reconnecting with sound, which is vibration, which talks to our cells, to our skin, to our fibers in our body, and it helps us to move and to awaken inside our potential. And even walking around in nature, touching trees, plants, and smelling it, uh, we constantly connect with those enzymes, which speaks to our body. So yeah, cacao is a powerful medicine, and it can help you connect deeper with yourself and help you open your heart. Uh, or you can have a cup of cacao early in the morning and you need to smash some work, jump behind the screen, or you need to go for some workout. It's great fats inside of cacao which can help you recover faster. So cacao overall is a superfood to me, and to uh, incorporate that to your daily diet is really a winner. Um, it doesn't dehydrate you like coffee, and it's a great substitute. Look, everything has a potential and a potential health benefit. I feel even caffeine has its benefits. So you don't always need to replace everything constantly, but it's that option that there's something else. Um, Even to go drink cacao as a nightcap before sleep, getting all the magnesium in before go to sleep, and help your body to get more oxygen. Sometimes cacao keeps me awake, but sometimes a cup of cacao just before I go to sleep, wow, can really support me just to rest deeper into my body, deeper into my bed, and just fall asleep. But yeah, be careful. It can sometimes have the opposite.
Yeah, so cacao is such amazing superfood. And I think that's the right name for it. It's a superfood because it's so nutrient dense, full of magnesium, helps oxygen flow in your body, so many benefits. And I think it's probably better than coffee. I haven't drunk coffee in years, like maybe 8 years. I haven't done any caffeine. I just drink rooibos or herbal teas. But sounds like cacao is a really good option to have once in a while, to just have as part of my cupboard, um, because of all the benefits that you mentioned. So, just quickly on cacao before we move on to the other areas, because I still want to talk about the kidney and the liver. But just quickly on cacao, does Plant of the Gods sell both the recreational grade and the ceremony grade?
No, so at this moment we only sell the ceremonial grade cacao, which you can yourself dilute or mix with milk or with water and make your own pot of hot chocolate. But it's the raw, authentic cacao, and we actually get it from reliable resources out of Africa, and it to me, the quality you can taste in the product yourself. So yeah, it's well available with Plants of the Gods. But when it comes to the commercial cacao, the cacao you get, which they call actually cocoa in stores, um, you I think you pay a lot cheaper there because of the mass production in it, and also the extraction that you can get with normal cocoa for baking. But I've replaced all of that. Um, Even in our baking, I love making my own chocolate, which has only raw cacao, our own honey, um, some roasted nuts, and then sometimes I like to put a little bit of vanilla essence inside. And then I make my own chocolate like that. And when I feel like I need to nibble a little bit, or I feel like I need something sweet or bitter, um, I have a little block of my cacao chocolate. And it's so easy to make. And it won't be long. We'll even make some videos where we can show everybody how to make your own cup of cacao or how to make your own cacao chocolate. Because we have so many questions, and everybody asks us, how do you make it? And then I walk into the kitchen and it's like 1, 2, 3, and they'll just observe me and be like, how did you do that? I still don't understand how do you get to make your own chocolate. So we're going to make some videos and post it on our socials to guide you regarding making that.
Oh, wonderful, Yaku. So the links, guys, to Yaku's socials are going to be below this video. So go support him, go follow him, and go check out all the amazing content he's going to be publishing out there. How to make your own raw cacao chocolates. So, Yaku, I also want to touch on the other two areas, so we at least give it some coverage in today's podcast. The two other um, areas we want to talk about is the liver and the kidney. So, for me, this is the first two filters of the body, major filters, right? The liver filters all the blood. Once everything we digest goes to the liver for processing and building, breaking down proteins or building proteins or hormones and hundreds of functions. And I always see from my scans, from my quantum scans and the bioplasm scans that I do on my patients, if they've got a bad diet, they're on pharmaceutical meds, they're alcoholics, they eat a lot of sugar, they drink a lot of coffee, I see it immediately in the liver and the kidneys. Those are the two organs that you can see are like sort of starting to malfunction. They're taking a lot of strain. They're electromagnetically out of balance. And it's all from lifestyle and diet. How much water you're drinking. It's so simple actually to fix these organs because I've seen also in my patients, once they start adopting a much more organic diet, wholesome diet, and eating balanced nutrients, micro and macronutrients, you can see a phenomenal change in these organs. And I support them by giving them some remedies for the liver and the kidney. And this is where your products come in because you've got a range of products for both the liver and supporting the kidney system. So let's start on the liver because that to me is the first one in terms of how our food is digested and broken down. Um, what are the go-to remedies for you for the liver?
Wow, Deepak, talking about the liver and the kidneys is actually a very big topic for me. And I hope we get some information through um, in this short time. So, the liver is actually the starting point of everything for me. There's a reason why the liver is the only organ in your body that can regrow. So, when you cut the liver in half, it will actually regrow. Um, there's a big reason why um, that's possible. It's like a rooting system. The the liver, if the liver is not doing well, you will kind of find all form of ailments. If it's gut problems, if it's autoimmune diseases, if it's cancer, um, if it is high acidity, it all resonates from the liver is unhealthy. And to look after the liver is actually very easy because it's a point of lifeline in your body. Um, Everything acts from the liver. If it's bile secretion, if it's blood filtering, digestive, if it's enzyme related, and also it's most of everything runs through the liver is your hormones, estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol levels. Um, so to focus on the liver by start taking good water. Um, that's the first place, not uh, tap water, water that is not borehole, water that has been treated with bleach and with chlorine um, and fluoride. That's the first toxic remedy that you can put in your body. And that's the first place you can start canceling out. Get filtered water. And you can do it at your home, and it's so easy to create your own filtered water. There's so many videos, there's so many guidances on how to just filter your own water. And then we have a lot of water stations around at all malls that you can purchase water in big cans, 25 liters, and that can help sustain you as well. Or you can create some reverse osmosis systems that you add to your kitchen sink or outside in your main line, water main line. Um, and then it takes your responsibility to add new minerals into your water. And I always say it goes a long way just by adding some Himalayan salt into your water. That will already help to create a more alkaline body, and also adding the right salts into your diet. Um, what I add also is a little bit, half a teaspoon of bicarb. Bicarbonate of soda also goes a long way, helping to keep the body alkaline, also increasing the oxygen uptake into your arteries and into uh, your blood system. And then it also helps to break down kidney stones that gets built up into the gallbladder and into the liver. So when it comes to nutrition wise and supplements that we currently provide, wow, it always feels to me like whatever you decide to take in Plants of the Gods, it's whole food nutrition. So we either have whole plant supplementation, or we have whole plant extraction supplementation, which it is still providing you with a full bioavailable plant resource. Which, if you go to micro extractions like pharmaceuticals, that is cells that is removed out of the plant, our body does not know how to digest and to transport it when taking in high quantity. That is why we get liver dysfunction, kidney dysfunction. That is why our pancreas starts taking shots. That is why we get IBS. That is why our gut system is deteriorating itself, because the acidity in it is too high, the crystallized structure in it is too high, and our body can't digest it. So, especially pain meds. Um, there's so many unnatural pain meds out there that burns holes into your gut, and it's not sustainable. So we have a pain medication, a pain supplement called white willow bark, which has a natural form of aspirin inside, which has not been extracted, because it also has the bioavailable structures inside to transport the aspirin, to transport the medication into the cells, into the body where it needs it, but also knows how to excrete anything, how to release anything that is not necessary in the body anymore. But things like black maca, ashwagandha, dandelion, it goes a long way for liver health. Um, we have so many combos inside, like youth juice, that is specifically focusing on as an antioxidant. Um, it focuses on as an antioxidant, and it also helps to break down free radicals, which is good for the liver. Breaks down dead cells and helps the body to release any dead cells. Um, and inside we have hormone support for men, for women, but even just hormone support supplementation can support the liver. Um, then there's the Silajit Plus, which is a combination of earth and sea, which is silagit and Irish sea moss mix, which we made a combo with. And even that in itself, that combo can go a long way for your liver. But what I incorporate on a daily basis is spirulina and moringa. When you take those two supplementations on every day, you get actually all the trace minerals, all the essential amino acids, and the antioxidant support that your liver needs to run healthy every single day. But it also goes a long way to observe what you put into your body. Um, some people say, okay, cool, but then it means I can eat all the oily fried stuff, but at least if I drink my moringa and spirulina every day, it's going to help you for the first 2, 3 weeks, but it's not sustainable because you kind of do a reset. You need to. Why is it that you crave the whole time the sugars? Why is it that you crave the whole time the oily substances? It is because you're trying to create that glucose context, that you're trying to create that glucose index constantly, that sugar spike release, which is again helping to increase my cortisol, helping to increase my adrenaline. That glucose also creates a lot of brain food, but also a lot of hype. So as soon as I can't sustain it anymore, my energy levels drop, and I don't know what to do with myself because now suddenly I don't have the energy. What do I need to do again? I need to return to the sugars to create that energy spike again. And now, when I don't introduce the sugars, uh, my insulin spikes to say, hey, bro, you kind of need to get energy here again. Why? Because I created a habit. I taught my body constantly I need the unhealthy, unsustainable sugars to sustain myself. So now I need to undo it. I need to completely do a reset. And after a 2, 3 week reset, you see you don't crave as much anymore. And when you need to do the bread or you need to do something that has artificial sugar in, you can actually do this once because your body is constantly in a healthy state and you're supplying your body with the right nutrition. So I don't know if that was a little bit focusing on the answer, but I did veer off a little bit on your question.
No, no, we've got definitely time to cover stuff in depth, and I love that you went off and gave us the context, around why the liver is so important, how to look after it, so many functions in the body that the liver looks after. You mentioned blood sugar as well. It's also cholesterol. Did you know the cholesterol manager of the body is the liver, and people that are on statins at the moment actually switches off the liver's cholesterol production. So be very wary, of what goes into your body because it all goes to the liver. It's the first department that everything goes to get organized and broken down and reorganized and managed. Filters the blood, sorts out toxins, and looking after the liver is relatively easy. So, like Yaku said, it's really about number one, removing all toxins and stimulants and artificial foods. Pharmaceuticals are a big problem. So, if you can cut those down, those will help your liver. And then using the nice herbs and plants that he has, he's got a whole range. My favorite go to when I give my clients liver stuff is milk thistle, dandelion, artichoke combo. So there's a combo of milk thistle, dandelion. It just works wonders for the liver, gallbladder system, and just helps to support it. And if you can incorporate that, with a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle, the recovery is just so much faster. I can just see that curve just going shoof. And it really is taking all the steps. It's just not the medicine. Don't just think, okay, I'm going to get Yaku's plant of the gods pills, but I'm still going to eat the McDonald's burgers and the oily eggs and then the medicine's not going to really work that well. Yes, it'll do its job, but it's really going to be so minuscule. But if you can incorporate a whole holistic lifestyle, incorporate the healthy diet, exercise, meditation, you know, all of those pieces coming together, the picture, becomes clearer much faster instead of just taking the the supplement, but ignoring all these other aspects of your life, healing is very slow in that case.
Absolutely. And you actually called milk thistle, which is one of the liver's most favorite. In clinical trials, they're actually proven that there is no limit in taking milk thistle. There's no toxin uh, index in milk thistle. So you can, for the rest of your life on a daily basis, take milk thistle and you will constantly repair and support the liver cells on a daily basis by taking it every day. So, and it helps to break any inflammation in your body as well. But it goes a long way, Deepak. Something goes haywire in my body, and I don't know what it is. I don't want to take the responsibility to to see what I put into my body, and I go to the doctor. Doctor, what is wrong with me? These are my symptoms. The doctor does a few tests and he tells you, you have high cholesterol. Okay, we now need to give you cholesterol medication and blood pressure medication to support this problem. Okay, so this is going to sustain something. I don't know yet what, but is it going to heal? No, it is just going to dilute the symptoms. Um, okay, so I'm going to drink these pills and these meds to take down my cholesterol and to regulate my blood pressure. But let's first go see what is cholesterol and how does the cholesterol act in your body. If I look at the cholesterol, the first thing that happens is cholesterol builds up in my arteries and in the artery wall, it builds up. Why? It can't be just because of too much cholesterol in my body. Then I realize, oh wait, the reason cholesterol builds up in my body is because it works like putty. These. Imagine a wall with a chunk of concrete out. Now you need to kind of fill up the wall again. So you take the putty and you fill up the wall so I can paint over it again and make it look nice. That's exactly what the cholesterol comes to do. It comes to fill up cracks in the arteries. Okay, so it actually is there to support my body, but I'm creating excess, too much. Why is that? Okay, so first off, I need to look at my acidity. The acidity in my arteries is what breaking my arteries, breaking veins, and opening the cell wall in the arteries. I need to observe the acidity what I'm taking. Too much fats, too much carbs can create that because I have no alkalinity diet um, in my daily use. So now that's the first thing. Don't attack the cholesterol. The cholesterol is the effect. Now I need to go to the causal. What's the cause of the cholesterol? I just need to ask that question and I can immediately find an answer. Same with my blood pressure. What is the cause of the blood pressure? Why does my body need to raise my blood pressure? Because it's either trying to release something or it is blocked by something. So what can that something be? Again, okay, there is something I'm putting into my diet that is too much of, too much acidity, too much sugar. It can be uh, too heavy foods that the body can't digest. So I constantly need to rise my blood pressure in order to help me digest. And we we can look at step by step why is something happening to me instead of going to a doctor so he can tell me what is wrong with me. And general most of the time, it's inaccurate. So pharmaceuticals is the number one economical drive in the world. It's the number one economical drive. So what does that mean to you? Uh, why is it such a big thing? Why is it um, pumped and sold to everyone constantly? Uh, but why isn't it healing me? So it's just sustaining something. It's sustaining mass production. But at least we have now today all the support out there. We have good communities, good friends, good family who has the experience that can help us to guide us to returning to my own understanding. Why do I do this? Why do I go on a different diet on a daily basis? Why am I changing my way of eating, my way of living? I need to understand that before I do it. Otherwise, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the purpose of this podcast, is to educate people about all of these very important factors, taking ownership, taking accountability, becoming aware of what's going on, what's going into our bodies, what we have control over. And the pharmaceutical stuff, like you said, it just dilutes the symptoms. The symptoms are never really cured. They're just diluted. They're just maybe managed, and just switching off the cholesterol production of the body has so many other ramifications. Now there's no cholesterol. And like you said, cholesterol is actually the putty, or the sealant in the body. The arteries are built of cholesterol. Our brains are built of cholesterol and fat. And just putting that off has so many other effects. And this is where I want to get into the kidneys, because the effect of a kidney failure, and what I've seen in a lot of my clients, is gout or joint pain or fibromyalgia. And that is like because the kidneys aren't processing the acid. Acid is now getting built up, or the uric acid, I think, to be specific, is now getting built up in the feet, in the knees, in the elbows, in the wrists, and now people are getting the gout pain, arthritis pain. And if you go to a doctor and you say, I have gout, they're not looking at the cause. They don't care about the kidney, what's happening with the kidney, why, or what is your diet. They don't ask any of those questions. They give you something for the gout. They give you some injection, like a gout injection, or they give you some gout tablets, which just numb the pain, dilute the symptoms again, and off the patient goes. But this is where the kidneys come in. I start treating the kidneys, and I start telling people about changing their diet. Cut out your alcohol, cut out, maybe reduce your coffee intake, reduce anything that's going to affect the kidneys, and slowly their gout pain goes away. And it's really not that difficult, right? And it's cost effective. It's just awareness of how to treat it by going to the cause of the issue, and a holistic approach to helping them through the gout is through the kidneys.
Absolutely. The kidneys filters an average 180 liters of blood per day. And even by too much sitting can stagnate that flow of blood pressure that needs to run through your body. And I always tell people, the best way to support your kidneys is to support your calves. The calves is like a pumping system that is directly connected with your kidneys. So if you frequently walk on stairs, up and down, moving your calves out of your feet, and not just plodding along, just moving the legs, not activating your calves at all. It can make a big difference by just doing that, activating your calves on a daily basis, doing an extra few reps, and focusing on your calves. Um, but regulating the fluid balance in your body is very important, and you can support your body with even dandelion, but also corn silk. It's actually corn silk is one of my most favorite, and it's really nice to drink. I always tell people there's two ways. You can either get the corn silk capsules, or you can get the corn silk raw. Make a big pot of corn silk with like 2-3 teaspoons of corn silk inside. Boil it like you do tea. Throw that water out. Add some water, and then drink that through the whole day. And corn silk will actually help to regulate your blood pressure. It will actually help to support the mineralization that runs through your kidneys. to separate the right salts and to help break down acidity in your body, because that is the biggest reason for gout is the acidity level is too high. And then why does that create a problem in my joints? Why is acidity a big thing? It actually happens, Deepak, that we have limited enzymes in our body, depending on our diets, how we grew up, and what we're currently putting into our body. So, if we have limited enzymes and we take unforeign calciums, which is most of the time in so much supplements out there that it's pure calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate, and it is actually calciums that can't be digested. Same as more than 70% of uh, people in the world can't digest cow milk because the calcium in there, we don't have the enzymes to digest the calcium. So what our body does is it actually pulls out calcium out of our bone because it's really, really rich calcium. So it spreads out, leaches on all the foreign calciums so that we can digest that calcium. But when we constantly take a foreign calcium, our body constantly needs to pull calcium out of our bone. But then there's times where it's flooded with too much calcium, enriched calcium. Then it takes that calcium and it tries to place it back into our bone structures. And where is the most weak point, the most moved point? And it's between our knuckles, it's between our joints, between our ligaments. It kind of tries to replace the calcium in those points because there's the most movement. But then it creates these little spurs, little pointy crystals everywhere into our joints. And that's where we start getting the gout. We start getting the pain. We feel uncomfortable. We feel we can't move and get our joints to wake up in the mornings. Our muscles are sore. And it's actually so easy to change that. It's just bringing in a more alkaline diet because the alkalinity will also help to break down those calcium spurs for that to be actually digested through the body. And if you take out the foreign calcium, the body don't constantly need to digest something that it's not made to take in. Uh, it's funny for me. I grew up with normal cow milk, and there's nothing wrong with normal cow milk. Some people out there has no problem with it, but most people that I've connected with and helped with supplementation and diets was because of they took so much milk and also so much sugar into their coffee, and they when you ask them how many coffees do you drink a day, they're like probably 8 cups a day. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a lot. And just 1 cup of coffee can not digest. 1 cup of coffee can I want to say dehydrate you. Yeah. Can dehydrate you. Okay. 1 cup of coffee can dehydrate you with almost 2 liters. So just your um, large intestines alone needs about 2 liters of water a day to run smoothly and effectively. So now I get about 1 liter water in a day, maybe, but I drink 8 cups of coffee with 2 sugars in each cup. So how much sugar do you get in a day? At least 150 milligrams of sugar in a daily with all of the coffee. So suddenly you never get alkalinity into your body. You just get that acidity. And if you ask majority of people how much water do you drink, maybe a glass if you're lucky. Um, so there's big changes that can happen, and it can happen quickly for your kidneys and to run healthy kidneys. And that is to just start taking more water. And there's supplementation out there that can support, like ashwagandha as well. It helps to regulate your kidneys and also helps to break down cortisol. To regulate your cortisol levels is also regulating your alkalinity in your body. Um, there's actually so much to talk about what the kidneys also support in your body, but I think that we're going to get lost in that. But basically, support your body with electrolytes, support your body with good salt and good amount of water, and fresh uh, filtered water can help and go a long way for your body.
Yeah, thank you, Yaku. And I look forward to having more conversations like this with you, where we can actually go more in depth. Maybe next time we start on the kidney and go more detailed into it. But it's amazing how that organ can affect the pains in your joints because of acid buildup. I mean, it's just so fascinating, this process that this whole body goes through, and how one action of taking calcium tablets or high calcium diets is now affecting so many things in your body. And it would be amazing if people can start appreciating, understanding their bodies, listening to their bodies. Getting the gout pain is your body talking to you, telling you, listen, you're having too much calcium in your diet, your kidneys aren't working good, you need to listen to me. Otherwise, I'm going to give you more pain. And that's really the relationship I want people to understand with their bodies. Listen to it, and because you know your body better than anyone else, so understand what it needs, understand how it's talking and communicating to you. And I think that's really what Plant of the Gods embodies, right? It's really teaching people to go back to their bodies, understand what their bodies are actually needing and requiring. And once you give your bodies that, the healing just happens effortlessly, because the body really knows what to do. All it's missing the tools that you're not giving it. And it really knows how to repair itself when it's in the right environment and has the right materials. So, Yaku, we look forward to having more conversations and talking more in depth about all the amazing, amazing products that you have. It will be so informative for the people. And yeah, all the details for Yaku, check it out below the video, guys. Go support them. Go check out Plant of the Gods. Amazing place for healthy supplements.
Absolutely. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for the opportunity to just share a little bit. And yeah, man, there's something I can leave anyone with is spend more time in nature. It constantly tells you where you are and what's necessary, how to support you. Nature is out to help us and to love us in the way we actually looking to love ourselves. So yeah, more nature.
Amazing. Yaku, till next time. Ciao for now.
Thanks, Deepak. Cheers, man.